Welcome to the training series on the Mental Health Services Act, or the MHSA. This is the second part of a multi-series training, which is specific to Sacramento County's MHSA community program planning processes and the array of MHSA programming that is implemented based on community support. I'd like to walk you through how the information is organized in this part of the training series. First, we will review how Sacramento County stakeholders are involved in the MHSA community program planning processes. Information will be provided on the MHSA Steering Committee, the Mental Health Board, and other sources for community input and feedback. Then there will be a very high-level overview of the array of Sacramento County MHSA services and activities by each MHSA component. Sacramento County's local community planning for all local MHSA initiatives starts with the MHSA Steering Committee. The MHSA Steering Committee is a long-standing committee that was established when Sacramento County began implementing the MHSA in 2005. The Steering Committee is the highest recommending body to the Sacramento County Behavioral Health Services Division for all MHSA initiatives. The Steering Committee engages consumers, family members, and other community members through a broad participation process to gather input relating to MHSA initiatives. They also review proposals developed with stakeholders and community input, and they make specific program recommendations to the Behavioral Health Services Division consistent with the MHSA. The Steering Committee is comprised of 30 members. 50% of the membership represent consumers and family members. Consumers and family members who wish to join may apply, and the Steering Committee's selection subcommittee reviews and approves consumer and family member applicants through an application process. The other 50% of the members represent the following stakeholder groups, and these members are typically selected by that group that they represent. Diverse ethnic, cultural, community members or providers, mental health service providers, alcohol and drug service providers, the Mental Health Board, law enforcement, social services, education, juvenile courts, health, probation, veterans, and faith-based. There is an executive committee of the Steering Committee. The executive committee develops steering committee meeting agenda items, and they facilitate the monthly steering committee meetings. The executive committee membership includes Sacramento County's Behavioral Health Director, 2 co-chairs who are elected by the steering committee, and 3 steering committee members also elected by the steering committee. The steering committee meets every 3rd Thursday of the month from 6 to 8 p.m., and meetings are open to the public. The steering committee has a dedicated web page that includes their meeting agendas, minutes, and handouts. The Mental Health Board is committed to championing the rights of individuals living with a serious mental illness. They serve as an advisory body to the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. They review and evaluate community mental health needs, services, facilities, and special problems, the county's performance outcome data, and county mental health contracts. As it relates to the MHSA, the Mental Health Board conducts public hearings for the local MHSA 3-year plans and annual updates and all other MHSA plans. As mentioned a moment ago, the Mental Health Board has a seat on the steering committee. All mental health board members are appointed by Sacramento County's Board of Supervisors. There are 16 seats representing consumers, family members, public interest, and a supervisor is also seated on this board. The Mental Health Board meets every first Wednesday of the month from 6 to 8 p.m., and their meetings are open to the public. They too have a dedicated webpage that contains their agendas, meeting minutes, and handouts. Sacramento County and the Behavioral Health Services Division also receive recommendations and input from the following committees and boards, among many others: the Behavioral Health Services Cultural Competence Committee, the Alcohol Drug Advisory Board, the Youth Advisory Board, the Behavioral Health Racial Equity Collaborative, the Youth Advocate Committee, the Peer Adult Advocate Committee, the Family Advocate Committee, and the Older Adult Coalition. Behavioral Health Services also convenes town halls, community conversations, and listening sessions to inform the community about programming and to obtain input and feedback. Throughout the year, Behavioral Health Services obtains program or project-specific feedback and input through the following ways: anecdotal feedback from system partners, consumers and family members, community partners and providers, surveys, needs assessments, satisfaction surveys, key informant interviews, focus groups, and MHSA steering committee ad hoc work groups. Once MHSA initiatives have been developed and supported through the community program planning process, the program is fully developed, incorporating the community's input by the Behavioral Health Services Division. These programs are then bid out to community providers through a competitive selection process. Once a provider is selected, the program is implemented. And there are a few programs that are implemented by the county as well. All of the MHSA programming is detailed in Sacramento County's MHSA 3-year plans and annual updates. These 3-year plans and annual updates provide comprehensive and detailed information about how the MHSA is implemented in Sacramento County, from the community program planning processes to program descriptions by component to evaluation. The next few slides will provide a high-level review of Sacramento County's MHSA-funded programs and activities by component. I encourage you to review Sacramento County's MHSA 3-year plans and annual updates for more details. They can be found on the Behavioral Health Services Reports and Work Plans webpage. The diagram on this slide maps out Sacramento County's Community Services and Supports, or CSS, component programs. For the CSS component, programs are grouped within a work plan. The blue outlined bubbles at the top of this diagram represent each work plan, which are identified as SAC 1, SAC 2, etc. Under each work plan is either a cluster of programs or one program. For work plans with a cluster of programs, those programs serve a similar population and have similar goals and objectives. For example, SAC 1, Community Opportunities for Recovery and Engagement, SAC 3, Permanent Supportive Housing, SAC 5, Wellness and Recovery, SAC 6, Adult Full Service Partnerships, SAC 9, Crisis Residential Programs, and SAC 10, Children's Community Mental Health, all have a cluster of programming that serve a similar population and have similar goals and objectives. For review, the CSS component has 3 service categories: full service partnerships, or FSPs, general system development, or GSDs, and outreach and engagement. You will find that Sacramento County implements a mix of both FSPs and GSD service category programs. In Sacramento County, outreach and engagement activities that are integrated into all FSP and GSD programmings versus having standalone outreach and engagement programs. In short, FSP programs provide a broad array of intensive mental health services and supports, and then a majority of Sacramento County's GSD programming include mental health outpatient programs. Additionally, there are some GSD crisis residential programs and GSD peer support services in Sacramento County's CSS component service array. On this slide, this diagram maps out Sacramento County's prevention and early intervention, or PEI, component programs. Sacramento County's PEI programs were initially built in alignment with the original PEI service categories identified in the California Code of Regulations. They included suicide prevention, strengthening families, integrated health and wellness, and mental health promotion. When the PEI component regulations were revised in 2018, it identified new PEI component service categories. Sacramento County continues to use the original array of programming and now has matched each program with the revised 2018 service categories. Each PEI program's updated service category is identified in the text of the 3-year plans and annual updates. As you can see, like CSS component programs, PEI programming are also grouped or clustered by those with similar services and outcomes. For example, in the suicide prevention column, all of these programs address suicide prevention, decrease isolation, and provide support or triage or crisis intervention services. And the programming in the strengthening families column provides services to youth and their families to strengthen family relationships. And the integrated health and wellness programs consider both health and mental wellness in program services. And the mental health promotion offers universal strategies to reducing stigma and discrimination. The diagram on this slide highlights all of Sacramento County's approved innovation component projects, and they include those that have been completed and those that are currently being implemented. This slide outlines Sacramento County's workforce education and training, or WET, actions that are currently operational. Again, I refer you to the recent 3-year plan annual update for details on these actions. This slide identifies Sacramento County's Capital Facilities and Technological Needs Component, or CAPFAC, and Tech Needs projects. Sacramento County's CAPFAC project was completed in 2015, and our current Tech Needs project continues and is being sustained with MHSA funding. Lastly, what is not included in this training is Sacramento County's MHSA housing program. For more information about this program, please review the 3-year plans and annual updates, MHSA housing program section, and the MHSA housing portfolio attachment for more details. To conclude this session of the training, you are encouraged to take an in-depth look at the MHSA 3-year plans and annual updates for more information about all MHSA-funded programming and activities. The plans and updates catalog in detail community planning processes, MHSA-funded program and activities by component, data and evaluation reports for all MHSA programs, and budget by component. These reports may be found on the Sacramento County Behavioral Health Services Reports and Workplans webpage. Thank you very much.